If you're like me, you're way too wrapped up in the numbers. And you know what I'm talking about, musicians out there just worrying way too much about streaming numbers, streaming followers, etc. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. As you know, if you're a musician, even the listeners, right? They do they're wrapped for the year with Spotify, sharing with everybody, your top 10 bands, acts you're listening to, your top 10 songs, etc. With artists, we get our Spotify wrapped every year around this time of December. And for some artists, it's great news. And other artists, it's usually it's a disappointment. You're working hard on your music. You want it to be heard. And honestly, it's not a reflection of your music in all cases. There is a ton of music out there, ton of mediocre music, but there's also a lot of great musicians that I think are underappreciated and just not reaching the streams that they should. But at the end of the day, for me personally, I am way too wrapped up in it. I concern myself with numbers far too much. And my guess is I'm not alone. I'm not alone. All right. It's very easy to just be so focused on how many people listen to your music today, how many listened to it yesterday, how many streams your song got. Maybe you don't have a song in your discography that even has 1,000 listens. And we all know, with Spotify changing that makes a big difference now in terms of getting paid for your royalties. But end of the day, I think it's just, we're too wrapped up in it. I know I am. And I think that's going to hurt your creative process. It's hurting mine to get depressed and caught up in all these numbers. It's just like constantly being a slave to these algorithms, constantly being a slave to the popularity contest that this all ends up becoming. And so I want to put a challenge out there for myself and for anybody that's watching this video right now. And even if you see this 6 months from now, I'd say join me on this challenge. I want to hear back from everybody. But basically my challenge is, if you got your music on Spotify, Apple Music, etc., any place that you consider to be your go-to, and that's where you're looking at the metrics and you're looking at the streaming, even Bandcamp, right? I know for me, even though Spotify is not my go-to, I don't usually listen to Spotify, but I do check on it, and I check on it way too much in terms of Spotify for artists. My monthly listeners, etc. I'm looking at that way too much, probably on a daily basis. I think it's not a productive habit. I don't know what you're gaining from it, what I'm gaining from it. So the challenge is to stop doing that. Whatever your routine is, maybe it's once a week, maybe it's every single day. Stop doing that. I think that'll help. I think that's going to help you create more music, be more creative, and just have a cleaner bill of health, right? And your mental health, I think, will improve in regards to that. So I'm not saying don't check it at all. If you're currently, say, checking it every day, maybe do it like bookkeeping. Like if you're running a business, maybe check it at the end of every month and just kind of look. Don't get too caught up into it, but take a look. How many listeners you got now? Because I guarantee, right, for a lot of people, it's not changing that much anyway. My numbers don't change that much. And so the point of checking it every day, I could probably check it at the end of one month to the next, and it probably is not budging. So what was the point of checking every day anyway? It's just kind of probably, depending on what your numbers are, kind of depressing. For some people, it's like, hey, I'm increasing at this exponential rate all the time. And good for them. I'm happy for them, honestly. But if that's not the case, what is the point of checking it other than just kind of putting yourself down, feeling depressed as a musician? So that's number one. Just try and at most look at your numbers, your streaming numbers once a month. At the end of every month, if you're making gains, great. If you're not, don't beat yourself up. And then, of course, still enjoy that Spotify Wrapped if you're a person that enjoys it, or just see what happens at the end of the year, and look at the numbers differently. It's too easy, right? It's too easy to look at your overall numbers, but I'm gonna suggest you ignore that for the most part. Like, don't focus on it. Of course, you're gonna see what your numbers are, but I think the more important number, and from my own view, from my own perspective, my own experience, the more important number is really your overall growth. For example, did you grow your streams by, 20% or 30%? Did you grow your followers by 25%, 40%, whatever it is? Those are the numbers that should matter more to you, if numbers matter at all. Don't get caught up on the macro numbers. Be happy for your friends. Be happy for people that you know, and even don't know that are showcasing their numbers, and they're happy with their gains, and the 15,000 streams or 15,000 listeners and more than that, whatever, right? Don't be resentful. I don't think that's helpful. As difficult that might be, depending on your personality, right? And your feelings about what you think you deserve in terms of listenership. There's a lot more important things I think we should worry about in life. But yeah, that would be my advice. If you're going to look at any numbers, look at your growth. Don't put yourself down. Think about where were you a year before or 2 years before, and how have you grown, if numbers do matter. I think that's the more important number. So that's my advice. In the comments, please let me know if you're down to do this challenge with me. Definitely here for moral support. We can kind of support each other. But yeah, if you're going to join this challenge, again, the challenge is, if you look at Spotify numbers, your streams every day, or your Apple Music or your Bandcamp, whatever, instead of doing that every day, just take a look at it when it comes in your email. If you get notified once a month, right? Here's how you did on Bandcamp in November, December, January. Spotify, same thing, right? Look at that. Look at that, and stop looking at this thing every day. It's bad for our mental health. It's not productive. You could be doing something else. You could be practicing chords or something, or learning an instrument, right? Or writing a song, writing a couple bars. So that's a challenge. If you're ready to join me on that challenge, go ahead and let me know in the comments, and let me know what you think about my opinion on, getting too wrapped up in these numbers.